like I said, I can understand where you're coming from with that.
Right, because when you're having sex, it's like you're focusing on the flesh-to-flesh contact. You're bringing your attention and your awareness to the physical touch and the connection. And meditation is bringing your attention to your breath or the physical sensations that's happening within.
Self-awareness is a superpower. Welcome to the Soul and Vibration Podcast. My name is KathyLaDonna, and I am a self-awareness coach. I use tools like numerology and astrology to help you find clarity and develop the kind of perspective that will give you peace. My client gave me permission to share this session with you. Listen out for your numbers. You might hear something that resonates.
Hello?
Hey, this is James.
Hi, James. This is Kathy with Soul and Vibration. Thank you so much for agreeing to doing this.
Sure.
So what brings you here? What inspires you to get a session?
Well, because I'm on that journey to be awakened, and enlightened, and it's just as I move forward, I'm just seeing things evolve before me. Just things are drawing me to certain places.
Okay.
To learn about these things I need to learn about because these things are part of my DNA.
Okay.
Yeah.
So did you have something specific that you wanted to talk about, when it comes to yourself, as far as any challenges or blocks in any specific area of your life?
My thing is more of relationships.
Relationships? Okay, So what kind of challenges are you having when it comes to your relationships?
Oh, it's this challenge, the challenge of overcoming there's things I seem to fear, or the presence of the energy of fear is ever present at times.
Okay. What do you fear exactly?
It's interesting because it really got something to do with me being prideful or something, but just.
Okay, so was you saying that, so are you familiar with your life path number?
Not definitely. I just listen to you and just really, begin to just listen to you what you were saying, as well, and then just.
But do you resonate with being a life path number 8? And the way that I got that number is by adding all the numbers in your birthday and then reducing to a single digit. So as a life path number 8, you mentioned being prideful when it comes to your relationships. And as a life path number 8, the number 8 is a number that represents authority figures. It's teachers, and at the same time, the number 8 is a student for life, because the number 8 is constantly looking for ways to add value to themselves. So say, for example, you might feel like your career is not working for you. You're going to think to go back to school, when going back to school might not necessarily be the thing that you need to do to evolve. You could teach yourself something, but education, adding value to yourself that way. And education is important, but that's how you like to add value to yourself. But back to the prideful part, the number 8 is an authority figure. So a lot of the times, basically, people who are strongly associated with this number, they like to be in charge and they like to delegate. This is the number that rules police officers and, that kind of structure, because the number 8 is structured. So that's why you might find that when it comes to, say, your relationships, you might have a hard time being flexible, a hard time being told what to do. Does that make sense?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so how has that affected your relationship, everything that I've just said, if it resonates with you?
Well, I don't know. It's the same time. I feel like we always grow apart.
You said it feels like you guys grow apart.
Yeah.
Like, grow apart how? Like, you no longer share things in common? Like, what happens when you grow apart? Is this a specific relationship, or are you talking about relationships in general?
Most likely relationships in general.
Okay, so when you say you grow apart, like 1 minute, what do you mean by that exactly?
I mean, like over this time, I spent with a person. Like I spent like 5 years with a person, and in the end result, they never did realize they never did really understand who I was or understand who I am. You know.
Okay, but can I ask you this? Are you clear about who you are?
Yes. No. Yeah.
Oh. Okay, because the reason why I asked that, because being born on the 27th, right?
Mm-hmm.
The number 27 adds up to the number 9. And the
Right.
number 9 is a chameleon type of energy, and not necessarily in a negative way. I feel like people who are strongly associated with the number 9, especially with you having the number 2 there, being intuitive, and then the number 7 knowing, it's almost like an empathic energy. So it's like when you go around people,
Wow.
you can sense who they are. So it's like you mold to different people and mold to different situations. So in a relationship, like you might meet someone and you naturally, it's like a survival thing where you figure out what they need and who they need you to be, and you become that person. But it's like over time, when you become comfortable, it's like your guards come down, and then the real you come out, and they're like, who is that guy? Or you might find yourself in situations where you feel like that person's controlling you. But it's not that they're controlling you. You showed up and say, hey, this is who I am.
Right. That's what it is. That's what it is.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because I had this, per se, this one in general relationship where, what was it? Oh, where we were having a conversation, and she had like one of some of her lady friends over, so all people over that she know, and we all have a conversation, and then I get to start talking about things about nutrition, or I start talking about things of certain social conscious things, but knowing how to talk about things without it being so, But basically, what it is, this is my girlfriend, whatever, would be offended, but the people that are there, they listening, and they like really into it, asking questions and just really listening to what I'm saying.
Right, and that's your natural teacher. That's you being a natural teacher and a natural student. But why do you think she's offended?
Because of certain things that they say. They'll say certain things, like, they don't want to hear this,
Okay, I see. Okay, so she'll say, like, your company don't want to hear what you want to talk about.
Yeah, like her company don't want to hear nothing I got to talk about,
Okay, I see what you mean.
Yeah.
I see what you mean. So it's almost like you bringing up that topic, is it something that's new to her, or do you always talk about stuff like that?
I kind of like start talking about stuff like that in general because I begin to share it with her.
Oh, okay.
I was actually sharing it with her. As a matter of fact, I took her daughter as my daughter, so like it was things that we were sharing. It was things that I was sharing with her daughter, like about history, about us as melanated people, and around the whole globe, how we are, and just sharing things of all kind of things that have to do with ancestry, that I know, understand for myself.
Right.
I would share with her, and then I would share with them, just in general. I would share these things with them, and then what happened is she caught herself trying to dismiss what I said, but what it is, it'd be other people that she ended up being around who be talking about those things.
Mm. Do you know what I find? What's interesting, and I experience this all the time myself, is that the people who are familiar with you, it's almost like it's not that they don't respect, and I've done this in the past not knowingly, because I remember an ex saying to me, I told you this, but somebody else had to tell you for you to hear it.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I feel like as people, we just have a bad habit sometimes of not appreciating the ones close to us. It's like we take them for granted, to where it's like, it's almost like, I don't know, we dismiss value when it comes from them sometimes. Let me touch on something again with the number 9. So you say now you know who you are, right?
Okay.
I feel like it's super important for you to like think back to when you were a child and think about the things you enjoy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Think about the things you enjoy when you were younger. It's hard for some people to think that far back, but I feel like that's the only time that that's the only time that we were really true to who we are, until we were conditioned to think that, you know, we're supposed to be a certain way or want certain things. So it's like thinking back to that time, you find out like what are the things that are important to you and important to your inner child, because our inner child is the realest part of us. That's like the most original part of us, and it's still a huge part of us. It didn't go anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So I say that to figure out like what are the things that excite you, what are the things that brings you joy, because those things that brought you joy as a child, those are still the things that bring you joy as an adult. It just might be a little different. Like, for example, with me, when I was a kid, like I loved trick-or-treating because I like roaming around in random neighborhoods, getting lost, and then finding my way back.
Okay.
And as an adult, I do the same thing, where I'll get in the car sometimes and I'll visit somewhere I've never been and just drive around or whatever. Just drive around with no specific place in mind, and then put the GPS on when I'm ready to make my way back. So that didn't really change. And I say this because I feel like it's really important to enter into relationships being clear about what you're into and what's important to you. You know, of course, we could compromise and be flexible with some things, but it's important that we're clear with who we are, meaning the things that we enjoy and the things that we won't accept, and be consistent when it comes to communicating that to the other person, instead of entering into the relationship and being all about what they're all about, and then wake up one day like, whoa, she's super controlling or he's super controlling. When really they're just like, you know, this is who you've always been. You always seem to enjoy going the places that I want to go and eating what I want to eat and doing what I say.
Right.
Yeah. And with so looking at your birthday, I see a few things that might be challenging for you or confusing, in the sense that, so being born on the 27th and then having a life path number 8. So being born on the 27th, even though it adds up and reduces to the number 9, the number 7 is still present and has a strong influence. So that's the part of you that's going to want to dig deep and come up with your own truth. And then the number 8 is going to be that energy that says, no, but that's not the way it's supposed to be. Meaning that you'll always revert to like the way how you were taught growing up, what you saw your parents or the people that raised you do. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, does that make sense?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Right. So basically it's almost like a pull. It's a pull where it's like a part of you want to find your own truth. And then when you find your own truth, like say you might have an experience where you had an intuitive experience, and then there's another part of you like, no, like I'm tripping, and dismiss it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So it's a matter of like allowing yourself to trust yourself that you can have your own truth and not always revert back to the truth that you were taught growing up.
I get you.
You know,
right? I understand.
Right, because I believe that I believe some facts are obvious, and then some things are just a collective agreement that may have worked at a certain period of time that might not be as helpful right now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying completely dismiss it all, but it's important for us to find our own way.
Right,
because different times might require different things.
Yeah, that's true too. One thing is, I always been into things what you call per se spiritual, or more, more into like more in depth of who we are within. I always been attracted to things like that. Whether it be things of different arrays of, things from what we call like sex magic. As far as I haven't really gotten into it. I'm just shooting out there, just saying about certain things. It seems like at times things draw me to these certain things, and like it's just for me just to like I guess to have the knowing of it or have an understanding of what it is or what it's all about.
Mm-hmm. How do you think you were drawn to that?
Or one of the things as far as was in me as a black male, as a melanated male, as far as sex, it's like one of the things from my past, as far as with sex and women and stuff, it's like it's like out there. So like.
Okay, so in numerology, I do this chart, and I add the numbers in your birthday, but I start with the month, and I write the numbers vertically and then reduce them horizontal until I get to the life path number. So basically, on the inside of you, the numbers that add up that represent your core and your inner world is the number 6. So basically, on the inside of you, there's always a conversation about community, responsibility, and love, where you might find that when entering into a relationship, you might be focused more on the features of the person, whether they're beautiful, nice body, sexy, things like that. And it's after you get in, it's like, wait a minute, like we're not on the same intellectual level. And I say all that because that has to do with the number 6. The number 6 representing family, love, beauty, and all those things, but it also has to do with sex. And being born on the 5th month, which is May, the number 5 is a number that needs constant stimulation. So the number 5 paired with the number 6, you might find times in your life where it's almost like an obsession or feels like an addiction when it comes to sex and not being able to get enough of it.
Mm-hmm. I've experienced that before.
Right. And that's because, again, the number 6 is, the number 6, like the number 8, represents the physical realm. And to me, the number 6 energy is, and the number 8 energy kind of, for me, remind me of like that Venus energy. It's like pleasure and beauty. But of course, the number 8 is more different. The number 6 for me is more like a Venus energy, pleasure and beauty and love and just the finer things in life. And again, the number 5, constant stimulation, to where it's like you might find that over time you got desensitized when it comes to things, because it's like after a while it's like you get bored easily. So it's almost like an appetite that you just can't get satiated. Mm-hmm. And I find what really works for that is like meditation. Because I find that, like, I think whether people are aware of it or not, I feel like why sex can be an addiction is because it allows you to be in a meditative state.
True, I understand where you're coming from.
Because, say that again?
I can understand where you're coming from with that.
Right, because when you're having sex, it's like you're focusing on the flesh-to-flesh contact. You're bringing your attention and your awareness to the physical touch and the connection. Mm-hmm. And meditation is bringing your attention to your breath or the physical sensations that's happening within and on top of your body. Like, pay attention to your breath going in, out, how it feels, and everything else in your body. So that's an actual meditation where during sex, your attention is brought there. So it's almost like, you get to connect on that level. And I also find that, like, when we escape through food or sex or whatever, it's because it's almost like we can't stand to be with ourselves within the present.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning, like, you'll be sitting alone, and it's like you want to be anywhere but here with yourself right now. So escaping through food, sex, drugs, whatever is your choice of drugs. For me, it was food. I would escape through food. You know, there'll be times when it's like, because I'm born on the 3rd, and the number 3 is very similar to the number 5, needing constant stimulation because the mind is so busy. So for me, I'll just eat. Like, whenever I'm going through something and I don't want to accept that I'm going through it, I'm being dismissive of my own feelings, I'll just eat. To where I'll wish that my stomach was big enough to just never stop eating. Because that's how I would take my mind away. So, like, yeah, sex will do that. Another thing I want to bring up with the number 6 being in a place that represents, like, your inner world. With the number 6 being there, you might define success for yourself. And the number 8 is also similar with that. You might define success for yourself based on material gain. So you'll say, when I have the house, I'll be successful. Or when I have that car, I'll be successful. Or when I have a girl like that, I'll be successful. And true success comes from, like, spiritual and emotional growth, because if you're constantly growing spiritually and emotionally, you can lose everything but be as strong as a rock and gain it all back.
So you're still here. Because you made it till the end, this tells me that you found this very interesting. If you would like an opportunity to be a part of my next session that will be shared here on my social media platform, please subscribe to the channel, like this video, and leave me a message below. If you would prefer something personal, please visit my website at soulandvibration.com. Thank you so much for joining me. I look so forward to seeing you in the next session.